They said no one ever comes back from Ravenwood Forest. Some said it was cursed, others whispered it was alive. But we didn't believe in legends. We were just 5 friends looking for an adventure until we realized something in those woods was watching us. Something that didn't want us to leave. We left the city just before sunset, laughing, music blasting through the car speakers. There were 5 of us, me, Ryan, Jess, Chloe, and Ethan, best friends since college. The plan was simple, a weekend camping trip deep in the wilderness of Ravenwood Forest. Everyone said the place was beautiful, but strangely empty. The deeper we drove, the quieter everything became. Even the wind seemed to vanish between the trees. The road narrowed into a dirt trail. The trees on both sides grew thicker, their branches twisting together like dark veins across the sky. Ryan turned down the music. GPS lost signal, he muttered. Jess laughed nervously. Well, that's comforting. The laughter faded fast. The deeper we went, the older the forest looked. Gnarled trunks, moss-covered rocks, and no sign of wildlife. It felt like stepping into a world that time had forgotten. When we finally stopped to set up camp, the air felt heavier. The sun had vanished behind the treetops, leaving a dull, gray light. Ethan unpacked the tents while Chloe gathered firewood. I remember the silence. Thick, unnatural. No crickets, no birds. Just the crackle of our small campfire. Jess whispered, "It's too quiet." Ryan smirked. Maybe it's waiting for us to start the party. That night, the wind returned, but it didn't sound natural. It carried a rhythm, like whispers riding through the trees. I lay awake in my tent, staring at the ceiling of fabric. The fire had almost died outside. Then I heard it. Faint footsteps circling the tents. Slow, careful. I held my breath. The sound stopped right behind my tent. I whispered, "Ryan?" No answer. Just silence, followed by a low, wet breath. I froze. My pulse hammered in my ears. The footsteps started again, this time moving toward the car. A metallic sound echoed, like fingers brushing against the vehicle's door. I wanted to wake the others, but something deep inside told me not to move. A moment later, a whisper came from outside, right beside my head. "You shouldn't have come." I shot upright, my heart pounding. "Who's there?" I whispered harshly. Ethan's voice came from another tent, sleepy and confused. "Bro, you okay?" I didn't answer. When I stepped out, the night was colder than before. The fire was out. The air smelled wrong, like damp soil mixed with iron. Ryan's car door was open, swinging gently. No footprints. No sign of anyone. Morning came like a relief, though the forest looked no less sinister. Jess said she heard whispering too, but assumed it was the wind. Ryan joked it off, but I could tell his eyes were tired. He hadn't slept either. We decided to explore a nearby creek before leaving. But as we walked, we noticed the trees. They looked different. The bark seemed carved, strange symbols, circles, and what looked like faces. Chloe ran her fingers over one of the carvings. "Feels like it's fresh," she said. The symbol was of a twisted spiral, with a dot in the center. Ethan frowned. Maybe local kids messing around. I took a photo on my phone, but when I looked at the screen, the symbol didn't appear. The tree was there, but smooth, blank. By afternoon, we reached the creek, or what was left of it. The water was black, thick like oil. Jess crouched down to touch it, but froze. Her reflection wasn't hers. The face in the water had hollow eyes and a stretched smile. She screamed and stumbled back, falling into the mud. The reflection still smiled. We ran. None of us said a word until we reached the camp. The tents were gone. Only ashes remained, and our belongings scattered as if torn apart. "What the hell?" Ryan whispered. Then Ethan noticed something written in the dirt. The same spiral symbol, drawn over and over, leading toward the forest's deeper path. By evening, clouds swallowed the sky. We tried to find our way back to the car, but every direction looked the same. The forest seemed to twist around us. Chloe started crying quietly. "We're going in circles," she said, pointing at a tree with the same carvings we'd seen hours ago. It was impossible we had walked miles. Yet somehow, Ravenwood wasn't letting us leave. Night fell suddenly, too fast. One moment the light was dim, the next it was completely gone. We lit our flashlights, but the beams barely pierced the fog. Every sound felt amplified. Twigs snapping, wind breathing, the crunch of our own steps. Then, from behind us came the sound of laughter. Not human laughter, too slow, too wet. Ethan turned, flashlight trembling in his hand. "Who's there?" he shouted. The beam landed on a figure, standing motionless between the trees. It was pale, tall, almost blending with the mist. But its face was carved like the symbols on the trees, spiral, hollow, wrong. Then it moved, not walked, but slid toward us. Jess screamed. Ryan grabbed her arm and pulled her back, shouting, "Run!" We ran through the fog, not knowing where we were going. The trees seemed to close in, branches clawing at our clothes. Behind us, the laughter turned into cries, like dozens of voices crying from underground. My flashlight flickered. For a second, I saw faces in the trees, watching. When we finally stopped, gasping for breath, the forest had gone silent again. But we weren't at the campsite. We were somewhere new, an open clearing with a huge dead tree in the center. Hanging from its branches were dozens of old wooden charms, each carved with that same spiral. They swayed, though there was no wind. Ethan stepped closer to the dead tree, his flashlight trembling. "What the hell is this place?" he whispered. As the beam moved up the trunk, we saw something carved deep into the bark. Names, dozens of them. Some were crossed out with long, deep gashes. And at the bottom, there were fresh carvings. Our names. Chloe dropped her flashlight, her face pale as chalk. "We need to go. Now." But before anyone could move, the ground beneath the trees started to pulse, like it was breathing. Roots began to twist, crawling across the soil. One root wrapped around Ethan's ankle and pulled. His scream tore through the fog as he was dragged toward the tree. We rushed to grab him, but the ground split open, a black, hollow pit beneath the tree. The air stank of rot and something older like burned soil. Ethan's scream vanished as the pit swallowed him whole. Then, slowly, a hand emerged, not his hand. It was thin, gray, and dripping with sap that looked like blood. Jess started praying under her breath, but the voice that came out wasn't hers anymore. It was layered, deep, ancient, whispering in some language none of us understood. The tree began to creak, its bark splitting open like skin. A single yellow eye blinked from inside it. "It's awake!" Ryan tried to pull Jess away, but she turned him with a smile that wasn't hers. Her eyes were pitch black. "He's part of the forest now," she said in a voice that came from everywhere. Then, before anyone could move, the tree's roots burst upward, wrapping around all of us. The forest screamed. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. Sunlight filtered through the trees like nothing had happened. The forest looked calm, too calm. My body ached, my clothes were torn, and there was mud all over me. I called out their names, one by one. No one answered. Not Ryan, not Jess, not Chloe, not Ethan. Only the wind replied, moving through the leaves like a whisper that said my name. Their tents were still there, zipped shut. The campfire had gone out, cold and gray. But when I unzipped Ryan's tent, it was empty. Inside, only the shape of his body remained imprinted in the dirt. The same was true for the others, for shapes in the soil, like shadows burned into the ground. I could still smell the sap, sweet, metallic, and wrong that I stumbled out of the woods, following what I thought was the same trail we came from. But the forest seemed different now. Endless, no birds, no insects, just that low hum vibrating beneath the ground. Then I saw it, the same dead tree. Only this time, new names were carved into it. For new names, and space left for one more. My name. That empty space was waiting for my name. The carving knife lay at the base of the tree, gleaming in the sun. My hands began to move on their own, trembling, reaching for it. The hum beneath the soil grew louder. I tried to fight it, but my fingers wouldn't stop. The forest wanted me to finish what it started. They found me 3 days later, wandering near the forest's edge. I don't remember how I got out. I don't remember my friends. But sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I can hear the trees breathing. And in my dreams, I see the carvings still glowing. One name at the bottom, mine,